Welcome to the Retro Adventurers. We are celebrating. It has been exactly 1 year since the first episode of the Retro Adventurers went live. We originally recorded it perhaps a little bit before that, but we'll get on to that. Joining me today are the core team. We've got Jason Compton, Nick Moffat, not Nicholas, as he's corrected me, and Dave Hawkins. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. Well, so we've got a lot to get through today. We're going to be doing all sorts of stuff. We're going to be revisiting some things from the past. We're going to have a bit of a retrospective. We've got some fun party games and and we're going to have some talks about the future of the podcast. So without much further ado, shall we get to it? It's my understanding that Jason, you have for those who listen to the podcast, Jason is the chap who holds the keys. He has he knows how many podcasts are being downloaded, and he's got all the statistics. And I think, Jason, you wanted to challenge us to a bit of a guessing game, right?
Yeah, I thought it would be fun, Ben Collier, in case you didn't introduce yourself. I thought it'd be fun to have the three of you guess how many nations have what I would call at least, one fan worth of downloads. At the time we're recording this, 19 episodes have been released, so I've compiled the list of all of the nations in which there have been at least 19 downloads. It's not easy to tell offhand if that's 19 people downloading, the Pawn episode or, somebody listening to all of them. But thought it'd be fun if the three of you took a guess about how many nations have at least one, listener episode's worth of content. And I think we'll just do this. We'll go alphabetically. Start with you, Ben.
Oh gosh, now let me think. So,
the prize, by the way, is a dream date with Selena Sakharov.
oh, here we go. So, let me see. I would have thought. So, how many? So we're thinking. How is it? 260 countries in the world? Is that about right? So, of those, I'm going to assume that maybe someone in South Africa has downloaded it. Maybe a few other countries in Africa, but probably, I mean, I wouldn't have thought we're the kind of core thing there. Possibly Brazil, Argentina, those sorts of places, a few in Chile. So, and then European countries. I'm going to go with 65.
Ben's in for 65. Dave, you are next alphabetically. How many nations?
Okay, well, I pretty much agree with Ben's summary of the kind of countries that would probably be listening. Obviously, we're going to get quite a few in the UK and the US, and I reckon there's some in Australia and probably New Zealand. I think 65 is a bit generous. I'm going to go for 28.
Ooh.
28, the guess from Dave. Nick, you are up last.
Oh, dear. See, this is bit Price of Right logic, I think. I've got to do the over-under on this. And so I was going to say 64, just to keep it as a round number. But I think that does sound a little high, so I'll go with 56.
Well, the correct number, so Dave, get your shoes polished up. Correct number is 22.
22.
I think you're a little optimistic about our prospects in Africa, but some of the bubble nations, those with one fewer download than could join the ranks, Switzerland, Hong Kong, and Peru, all sitting on 18. So if just one of you in one of those nations grabs another episode, we'll have another.
Oh, I completely misunderstood the entire point of the quiz. I thought it was anyone with one.
Download. No.
Not 19. I misunderstood completely. And no wonder I go, oh, right, okay. And how many have we got a Google whack on? How many have we got just the one result? Just one person?
And I'm a little skeptical of these because you never know if this is somebody just having fun with a VPN or if it really is somebody experimenting. Yeah. But we'll leave that up to the listener. Those with the Google whack, as you say, Algeria, Croatia, the Isle of Man, South Korea, Luxembourg, Malta, Paraguay, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan.
So we have one Manx listener.
South Korea surprises me.
Interesting.
I mean, it is gaming centric, but maybe not so heavy on the 80s text adventures.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Well, it is just the one. Perhaps someone was flying over at the time. Brilliant. It's always changing. It's always interesting to see what you've got to tell us about the stats. It's quite amazing how many of these episodes have been downloaded by people since we started. So thank you, listeners, all of you, whether you're in South Korea, Taiwan, or the US, or UK or Australia. Thank you all very much for listening. So, off the back of that, I'm just having a look at our list of things and seeing what else we can talk about. We've got a bit of a question here because I know the way that we've dealt with and interacted with text adventures has probably each of us has changed since we started doing the podcast. And I think we were talking about having a bit of a chat about that. I mean, I certainly have incredibly broadened my horizons. Certainly, some of the Apple II games that I would have never come across in my youth. I've just got a much broader picture of the entire scene, and I'm afraid my initial knowledge was nothing compared to any of you or the other three. Really, I was very parochial in my text adventure tastes. How about you, Nick?
Well, I mean, I have to say I'm similar. I've mentioned this before. I've gone through the entire Infocom corpus, mostly, to varying degrees. The renaissance of the Inform community in the '90s, and some of those competition games from the late '90s, early 2000s. And that's mostly where I've looked. A few TADS games here and there I've poked at, but I've really missed out on this era, particularly of the British side. That's obviously I've lived in the United Kingdom for the past 20 years, but coming to this tradition of small games for small computers, memory resident, on platforms that we didn't really have common access to in the States when I was young. That's been amazing to explore.
And Dave?
Yeah, I was just listening to what Nick was saying. I think actually it's almost the reverse of that. And I know we've covered this quite a lot, that there are a lot of machines that are available in the US that just simply were out of the price range of everyone in the UK. So for me, yeah, it is very similar to you, Ben. It's been really quite good to be able to play a lot of the Apple II games. And these are games that I would have read about in magazines and had no hope of playing. I mean, they were out of our price range if they were even available. So yeah, that's certainly been something that's been really good to actually get to play these games that I remember from my youth, really, from being a 13-year-old kid and thinking, oh, I wish I could play that.
And Jason, you seem to have other than your gadding about and your hobnobbing with various retro people, you seem to have been very active.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the best thing the show's done for me is just I've actually had cause to play these games. I'd have to go back to being a teenager at latest to pick a time when I'd played this many text adventures in 1 year. And frankly, having the structure of the podcast is motivation to finish them, rather than we'll talk about this when the Sherlock Holmes episode comes out. But the Infocom Sherlock game, I booted up and looked at it, but it just felt a little daunting and frankly just not all that engaging. So I never got anywhere in it. And having the structure of the podcast gets me through playing these dozens of games. So that's been terrific for me. And just kind of another reminder that very often in this world, just asking is sufficient. It's been great having a lot of these creators that come on at a relative moment's notice and are willing to come back time and again or talk about topics they haven't discussed in 40 years. So yeah, it's been great to have that additional exposure, not just in working with the three of you on these games, but finding out, hey, I wonder if this person will come on the show, and more often than not, the answer is yes.
No, that's been great.
Yeah, I think that motivation is a huge deal for me. I think, without it, I might have hit the interface for some of the games that we've reviewed for this show, and I might have just bounced completely off them. A game that doesn't have examine or, all these other two-word parser limitations that we run into. But the structure of this show forces me to stop, push through it, maybe hit a walkthrough, but engage with the work on its own merits instead of just bouncing off some of the surface features that we sort of have been a bit spoiled in regards to lately.
Yeah, I've been the other one I've been finding is the joy of trying to make some of these games work on platforms that I've never touched before and discovering wonderful features of the platforms like the Apple and its delightful delete key shenanigans. So yeah, I've learned a lot and I've had a great time.
I think that's true for all of us, really, isn't it? I mean, it's definitely been an education. As I say, we wouldn't have touched half of these games, and as Jason was saying, that this gives you the motivation and it gives you the focus to actually say, yeah, I've got to finish this, even if we have to end up on Casa at the end of it and thinking I'm totally stuck now. I've got to get some clues. But no, it's been a really good experience. I actually can't believe it's been a year.
Yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I mean, let's face it. When we started, I think I was thinking we might get 3 or 4 episodes out of this.
And the games go on, and the longer we do this, the more random games I discover. I think we're going to be in text adventures for some time to come.
Yeah, and then we're seeing, if you're not following us on Blue Sky, you should be. And one of our standby, sources to repost is Jason Dyer, who does Renga and Blue, the blog, and he keeps discovering, lost games that nobody's, played in over 40 years. So even those of us who have spent a lot of time on IFDB, on Casa, on these other sites, there's still games that are being discovered, pulled off of tape and played for the first time in a long time. So yep, there's more
Out there. And it's the weirdest ones that are the most fun, as far as I'm concerned. You can have your Infocom, but if it's an obscure game that was shipped on a sort of cassette magazine for the Atari, and only went out to 24 people, then that's what I'm about.
I mean, the 50 years of text games book that came out. One of the most fascinating chapters in that was, I think it was a Czech protest game. Which
Wow.
would never have reached me in any way. I mean, the revolutions happened and things moved on and politics changed, but this is such an interesting slice of a moment to look at this, and I highly recommend looking that up. We might have a link in the show notes.
Yeah, that sounds
definitely.
like fun.
So it's been kind of quite a complicated year. It's not really a thing for everybody. I mean, not just sort of the podcast. I mean, what has this actually changed your life for you in any way? Do you actually feel like? I mean, for me, it's given me a bit more focus to think to have to come in and do these regularly. But it's made me feel a bit better about myself personally.
It's a funny one, actually. The combination of doing this and having Jason remind me at sort of 4 p.m. on a Thursday that I'm supposed to be presenting the next day
Same for me.
it's good. I think it's certainly in terms of my ability to speak and being at home and happy to speak on a microphone on the internet. It's sort of played off a lot of other stuff, and it's been beneficial in that sense. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Well, I've been pursuing a master's in public history throughout the time I've been recording with you, and it's been a bit of an interesting forcing function in terms of my schedule, in terms of when I have seminar time or archive research time and these other things, and so I think it's really helped me to definitely pin down my schedule a little bit more, which we'll see how that continues as I head into this summer with more research time. I've finished all of the seminar course time at this point, so. Yeah, well, I hope to stay just as organized in the future.
Very good, very good. So what's surprised each of you the most about our year together? What's the biggest shock you've had, or the most interesting thing that's come out of the woodwork? Maybe Dave.
I think actually, I mean, firstly that as I said, that we've actually managed to get into our first year. This has been the most surprising thing. But it's also, as Jason was saying, it's amazing the kind of guests that we've managed to get on and how easy that's really been, and how willing people are to talk about these things that they did 30, 40 years ago, and they still want to come on and they still want to discuss them. And I think that's been one of the most surprising, but also one of the most amazing for me.
Yeah, it's absolutely staggered me, and the breadth of guests as well, whether it's whether it's Ian or all of the people from the sort of the halls of fame. It really is a testament to the hard work that you guys I'm not going to include myself in this, that you guys have put in. How about you, Jason? What surprised you?
Yeah, I think some of the things that have come out of the discussions, not just discovering the games, but like I think of the Ron Martinez interview, that we've only started to scratch the surface of things that he knows and was involved in. Like when I found out that he knew Thomas Dish. I have amnesia. I've had amnesia on our list to cover for a while. It's still coming, and it's like, wait a minute. Now we're talking about this whole realm of that kind of mid late '80s game development where there wasn't the template yet for how is this industry going to go, and you've got these authors weaving in and out of the interactive space. So just knowing that, yeah, we've had hour long conversations with some people, but there's more to get at. We'll have our interview with Peter Golden, who developed Sherlock Holmes Another Bow, coming up, and that's a guy that he came in as a kind of an up and coming magazine writer. He came out of it doing a ton of historical fiction. There's a lot more that actually crosses over into this world than we've been able to cover so far. And I think the other thing that's been a pleasant surprise, I did figure that if we stuck to it, if we did a good enough job, that we would start to get people noticing us. But we got that really nice boost right away from This Week in Retro. Like I wasn't expecting somebody to jump on us immediately and say, hey, there's this new podcast out there. It's in sphere of interest for our listeners. Please go take a look. And we've had a few other signal boosts, but getting that one that early, that really took me by surprise.
I've been really, really pleasantly surprised by the number of people who've boosted up the podcast and given us a shout out. It's ever so kind of people, I'm terribly grateful. Nick, how about you?
Well, I have to admit, I feel a bit like a cousin Oliver for this show, having come on a bit later. If you may remember, I think Jason put a call out on the IF forum a while ago saying, oh, we're growing and we need more people. Is anyone else willing to come on and help us out with the show? And I volunteered and almost immediately came on to the panel discussion with Scott Adams and John Gilberts. And I, felt like, well, I've got to really make a good show of this. But yeah, I've been impressed with just how friendly and willing to connect with people over the pastime. All of the people we've talked to are, whether they're the greats or just people who listen to the show who write in with their reminiscences of various games or reach out to us on various chat platforms that we're on, or indeed the Blue Sky or Mastodon forums. Yeah, it's just been great to connect with people,
and we love to hear from people.
You're no cousin Oliver, Nick. The Nick Moffat era has been a ratings booster. So you're more the 7 of 9 of Retro Adventure.
There we go.
I feel like more of a sort of absentee father, who's sort of come back once the child has turned 16 and demanded some sort of support in my dotage.
But sometimes there's that toilet escape games.
Sometimes there's that character from the pilot, and he's not in the first season. Then they're like, you know what? There was actually something there. Let's get this.
He had to finish his contract with the other show first.
There you go.
Absolutely, brilliant. The Nick. We're on to another one now.
All right.
You've talked to me about the Clarion.
Oh, yes. So I've mentioned in a couple of episodes now that a running joke in the old Usenet era of the Inform Renaissance was the joke of porting the Z machine to the Clarion Beauty computer. I've called this several different things over time. Clarion Color Computer. There were a number of different devices like this in the late 80s, early 90s that were in sort of supermarket shelves or your mall makeup counter, where you would go up, and it was an era where I guess it was fashionable to look at color palettes in a sort of a quadrant map. Maybe it was mapped to seasons. Are you a spring color palette or an autumn color palette? That sort of thing. And so a lot of these cosmetic companies made these computers so that a customer could go up and get a little bit of advice on which makeup to buy based on a little bit of standard input data. One of these was the Clarion Beauty computer, which was on sort of supermarket shelves, and it was sort of about the level of interaction you'd expect from a calculator. So it was sort of a running joke that porting the Z machine to this would be the ultimate challenge, and this would be the ultimate feat of how to get a text adventure running on a really obscure platform. This joke sort of buried and resurfaced, and I brought it up a couple of times in various episodes. And I reached out to someone. I'd been trying to research it, I reached out to an engineer called Robert E. Glazer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who runs his blog or his website, basically, full of all kinds of interesting information, called icengineering.com. And I emailed him because he had mentioned somewhere on the site that he had done a review. It was sort of like in his CV or in his, collection of accomplishments, that he had done a review of the Clarion computer design. And I just had to reach out. So I asked him, we're all guessing, what is this machine? What was actually running under the hood? We suspected a couple of things. And he wrote back. And so he says, this recollection really tests my memory. He couldn't find any documents that he'd saved on the review process. And he suspects that's because at the time, and this would have been 1986, he was still using a home-built tape-based 8080 system. So I don't know if that was an S100 bus device of some sort, but he didn't yet have a PC to do his text processing on. He was still doing it on one of these very custom machines. So that's some engineering creds right there. But he's an absolute pack rat. He never throws anything away. So he managed to dig out of, I assume, boxes in an attic or a garage or something, and he found it. He says, "You are correct. The Clarion Beauty computer is based on a CMOS version of the Z80. They didn't let him keep any schematics or any source code or anything like that." And he actually found it hard to find some of the information that he used to have because Procter & Gamble now own, I think it was Noxel at the time. They made Noxzema skin creams who were funding this device. And he says he's shocked that companies like Procter & Gamble have literally scrubbed their history from public view. But he was able to get some stuff out of the archive, Internet Archive, and he was able to find documents of the review document. So he said it was a custom layout with an EEPROM, including an empty socket for a second ROM, should later software require it. He didn't think there were any external connections. That was one of the things I asked. Like, would it be possible to, live load updates to these PROMs, in situ? Would a tech maybe come by and update it if, new makeup lines came out? No, I think it just required a complete replacement or sending it to a shop. And he also says that there was an evaluation he did for CoverGirl for a simpler machine they did a few years later. But he did say he remembers chuckling to himself when he went to the cosmetics department in a drugstore and saw the computer. And then he gave me a lovely little ASCII smiley face. And so I have here this evaluation document from 1986. The evaluation of the Clarion computer proposed to the Noxel Corporation. And it's got his engineering firm's address on it. So how difficult would it be to port a game to this? So let's first talk about, it is a Z80. It was a CMOS version designed for low power consumption. So we wouldn't be able to run it at full tilt like you might your normal CPM devices. But it did have a 6116 RAM chip, which I believe is a 16 kilobit RAM chip, which means about 2 kilobytes of RAM. And in the document, he says this is more than sufficient for the Clarion use. They don't need to store vast amounts of text or anything. But it does show that we might have a limited scratch space for that. The ROMs, I actually confess I haven't looked up the chips themselves for the ROMs to work out what the sizes are. It's a 27C64 EEPROM, and there's two of them. So if anyone can look up the spec sheets for those while I'm talking.
27C64?
27C64.
Well, that sounds like it's a 60... it could be 16K 8x8.
Yeah, 64 kilobits.
16, no, 16... Yeah, 16 kilobits.
16. So 8K ROMs. Yeah.
8K ROMs.
ROMs.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get 16K of ROM space.
All right. So technically, that means that we should be able to fit some kind of small game in there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes through all sorts of design concerns for this. And again, we'll put a link in the show notes to this review document so you can read it for yourself to get a sense of what the concerns were for the machine. One of the ones that I thought was interesting is that it's got a sort of a rubber covered input device for pushing in the inputs for whatever it is, your complexion or whatever information it wanted. And he did note that was susceptible to fingernail damage, which I think would be a greater risk in a makeup counter than it would have been for, say, a 13-year-old boy typing on a TRS-80 at home.
Yeah, so 16K ROM, 2K RAM, you could definitely run, Scott Adams, class games in that. Yeah,
you could, quite a few of them. Yeah.
There's a bill of goods list where he's trying to work out the finances for manufacture and sale. I think it's about $137,1986 in parts. And he estimates 2 to 5 times cost for overall retail delivery. But he also describes this as an arm's length thing. Like, this is not going out to the general public. This is, very quickly going to a very internal market of people setting up, their internal store displays. So he suspects it's going to be somewhere in the $275 to $685 range. Again, $1986. Perhaps we can come up with an appropriate conversion. I don't know. What would that be in 2025 eggs in the US these days?
$600, you say, did you?
685 is the top. That's the upper end. Yeah.
You're looking at a 3 times multiplier for that.
Yeah.
And what was the display on this, Nick?
It was an LCD display, and again, everything here was run at a very low power. It was battery operated, so it really was calculator level power. So if we're gonna run the game on this, we'd have to absolutely plug in main source of plug it into a bench supply and feed DC through it, and shut off all the power saving because it did put a lot of the chips into sleep. It's interesting. This is 1986, so he talks about CMOS being really effective and starting to become really affordable. And that's about the time we're starting to see CMOS take over general purpose semiconductor chips on boards. We're starting to see laptops become a little bit more practical. It's a bit more widespread than it was in the 70s.
Interesting.
Jason was pretty much spot on with his guess. It's $1,922.
Yeah.
Gosh, really? How many?
Yeah.
At the risk of going over old ground, how many of these things were sold?
I mean, that's a good question. I haven't looked up how. That's probably some of the stuff that he might have wanted to dig out of the Procter and Gamble site and couldn't find.
Easily thousands, because I could name a half dozen drugstores or kind of low end department stores that were in my area that had them.
Kmart's in your
Really?
Really
Walgreens had
This is
them.
a new thing. New thing for me. I mean, Ben, do you remember anything like this? I mean, I wasn't going around buying makeup.
I
when
don't.
I was,
Yes, the age that I was when this came out, I wasn't hanging around in.
I mean, the moral equivalent, if you can imagine, going into, say, like a Tesco Metro and seeing on the makeup aisle a little, like an old calculator LCD display, right?
Right.
That, you punch a few buttons and it gives you a little bit of advice from a set menu. And
It's like a couple lines alphanumeric.
Yeah, basically. But one other thing he did say about the source code, about the software, is he said there's a lot of logic and behavior coded straight in. And he says it really could benefit from that Scott Adams style of an engine with a database that it reads its choices from and makes its decisions based off of. So I think he was already suggesting a path forward to porting those games.
Nice.
It's funny.
Very nice.
Well, that's the next thing then, isn't it? Who's going to get that done?
Fulfill the prophecy.
This time next year, we'll be famous.
We will.
We will. Yep.
Right. Okay. I think it's time for a game. I was going to leave this till the end, but I can't help myself. Gentlemen, I've decided to today run a bit of a guessing game, bit of a knowledge game. But this is the game. I feel like I need to have theme music for this, but I don't. There we are. Here's the game. This is the way it works. Each of you, there are approximately 15 rounds. Each of you, per round, I will come to one of you and I will offer you the chance to identify a line of dialogue from one of the adventures that we have played in the last year. If you guess it right, you score a point. If you don't get it right, we throw it open to the floor.
Okay.
At the end of all of the rounds, we'll toss up the points and we'll see who is the fully qualified god of the retro adventurers. So,
providing you don't win another date with Selena, I'm all right.
okay, here we go. I'm going to start with Nick.
Oh dear.
Nick. Your temerity in kissing the Lady Portia is justly rewarded.
Well, that has
Guards
to be.
seize you and put you to death.
I mean, that has to be Avon.
Correct. Well done, Nick. These get harder, by the way.
Oh, good.
Right, Nick won. There we are. Okay, Jason, on to you. Squire, No man can pass this way, save with my permission.
I hope that's Lancelot.
It is Lancelot. Congratulations, Jason. You have scored 1 point. Dave.
Yes.
Thousands of maggots feast upon the remains of a body inside the crypt.
No, that's going to have to go to the floor, I'm afraid.
I don't think you were on that episode.
No, I don't think I was.
I might have made a boo-boo.
I
think I was up-
do we have to be on the episode to recognize it? I mean,
Well,
No, not
Ben's game.
necessarily. But,
I don't know. No, open to the floor. First person to say it.
Medea.
Come on. Who is it?
Medea.
Medea. Yes. Well done, Nick. That's 2 for Nick. All right. I'm going over to Nick. It's your turn now.
Uh-oh. My deification is growing.
Fresh.
Oh, that is the that's that's Sakharov, isn't it? It's
I'm gonna have to push you.
I know. I'm trying to remember the acronym for the name of the ship because it's the game named after the ship, and after all this time, I can't remember. It's like the SGF something.
Sorry, Nick. That's not the
Sorry.
right answer. I'm gonna throw it open to the floor.
GFS sorceress.
It is the GFS Sorceress. Thank you, Jason. You have scored 2 points. Jason.
the game I didn't realise we'd covered.
Jason. While this may make Miss Fox look a little strange, it does make her great to dance with.
You need a countdown.
The dead air makes great audio, doesn't it?
Yeah, sorry, but I will go. I'll go the pawn just because I can't.
I'm afraid that's the wrong answer, Jason. Anyone else? Does anyone else fancy giving that a pop? No. I'm seeing lots of blank faces here. Anyone?
You've got a
Last
stumper, I
chance.
think.
Right, that is from behind closed doors.
No.
And it is a news article. It is a news article about someone called Miss Fox. I'm not going to go into further details, and some surgeries she's had performed. And is in the newspaper in the lavatory in behind closed doors. Dave, it's your turn.
Okay.
The magician zooms past on a circular stone platform.
That is the pawn.
It is. Well done. Scored a point. Very, very good. Nick, your turn. God, please no. You should never have come here.
Is that
this show?
Is that this show? Is that the Lurking Horror?
It is.
Good.
It is. Well done.
Excellent.
Very good. Very, very good. Excellent. Right, Jason, here we go. You are in a maze of mountain paths. There are exits to the northeast, northwest, and south.
Oh,
This is getting hard.
yeah. There's like 3 plausible answers for that. Easy. I'll go The Hobbit.
I'm afraid that's the wrong answer. Anyone else? Does anyone else want to have a pop?
Twin Kingdom Valley.
This is a deliberate. I'm afraid this is a deliberate trick question on my part because I knew that people would go for The Hobbit and Twin Kingdom Valley.
Oh.
But I'm afraid that is the wrong answer as well. Nick, do you fancy having a pop?
I'm afraid I couldn't possibly. I was going to guess one or the other. I was going to guess The Hobbit myself.
The answer is Avon.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Oh, the directions northeast and northwest.
It was the one where you had to
Is that
keep
what it was?
going the one
Yeah,
direction
yeah,
until it was how
Yeah.
far you went northeast that mattered.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I should have clocked that. Okay.
Dave, your turn.
Okay.
A strange magic reveals to you the secret of concealed doors.
Dark Crystal.
Wrong answer. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Anyone else?
Is that Murdoch?
Strange magic. Sorry?
Is that Murdoch?
It is not. Jason.
Twin Kingdom Valley.
Yes!
Hey!
Yes! Well done.
My strategy for the rest of the game will be to guess Twin Kingdom Valley.
Or the it.
We're now Nick and Jason. You're now leading equally on 3 points.
You can start a pantheon.
And Nick has the ball.
Uh-oh.
You are in an alien airlock. You are in an alien airlock.
GFS Sorceress?
Sorry, it's the wrong answer. Anyone else?
Ship of Doom?
Correct, Dave. He's in there.
I was a beat too slow.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Jason, it's your turn.
Oh.
Monkeys often travel in groups and are great imitators.
Yes. I'm seeing the puzzle in my head. I remember doing it. I just don't remember what we did it in.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to. I need that answer.
Was it Calixto Island? It's not.
No, wrong
No.
answer. Next, Dave, Nick, either of you?
Is that Murdak?
No.
Wish Family
Dave.
Robinson?
Yes, Dave. He's in there. He's come from behind.
Forgot you
He's
played
come from
that.
behind. All 3-all. We are very. We have four listeners with 4 questions to go.
Ooh.
We have all of the retro adventurers who are playing on 3 answers each. Right, Dave, it's your turn. I can also see a small green man sleeping on the mirror. I can also see a small green man sleeping on the mirror.
Yeah, I want to say Ship of Doom again, but it's an Arctic adventure. Planet of Death?
Correct.
Yeah.
It goes. Amazing. Nick, your turn.
Uh-oh.
You are standing outside the door of a small flint hut.
That has to be Murdak.
That's right. I was hoping somebody would plump for Twin Kingdom Valley there, but you got it. You got it.
Because I played Murdak,
Okay.
so I didn't play.
You played Murdoch.
Valley,
I chose the wrong person to give that one to. Okay. Here we go. An incident room has been set up. Oh, incidentally, sorry, listeners, this question's a special question because there is a clue. There is a clue. So if the person who's going to go with this to start off with, who is Jason, doesn't get it to begin with, we will use the clue.
Okay.
So
An
Jason will get a
incident room
second
has
try
been-
with a clue?
He will get a second try with the clue. An incident room has been set up. If you have any information, call this number 041 556 2611.
An incident room has been. Is that the pawn?
It is not. Right. Okay. Now, that is a British number.
Yeah.
Right.
And as a
I
consequence,
have an idea.
I am going to call that number now.
Lifeline.
This is cutting edge podcasting. This.
Exactly.
Here we go. I'm just entering this number. 01 2611. I mean, it kind of changed in 20 years or 25
Yes,
years.
it can.
Let's find out what happened.
London
shall we?
prefix has changed in that time.
That's getting noise canceled out.
Yeah, I can't hear that.
Can you not hear that?
It's
that's a
being
shame.
noise canceled, unfortunately.
Oh, well, I can tell you, that was the Celtic Football Club visitors hotline.
Okay.
Macbeth?
No. Anyone else?
Twin
Who's going
Kingdom
out to the
Valley.
floor? Sorry? No.
Twin Kingdom Valley.
No.
I'm going to
Which
say
of our-
Lancelot because of the quiz, the puzzle.
No.
Oh.
So so this is the thinking here. One of our games, at least one of our games, was written by a Scottish software firm. And the number they gave was a Glasgow phone number, hence it being Celtic Football Club. Anyone? And the man who wrote the game had a muck in his name. And the
Big
author
sleeves.
was Fergus MacNeil.
We haven't. Oh, so Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. There you are.
Yeah, we haven't done Big Sleaze yet.
I haven't we? I thought we covered it ages ago.
No, no, not yet.
I played it.
All right. Okay. So that means we're in a bind here. Nick is on 4. Jason's on 3. Dave is on 4. If Dave gets this one, then he wins. If he doesn't and Jason gets it, it's a 3-way draw. If he doesn't and Nick gets it, it's a win for Nick. Yeah. It's over. This is the last one. So Dave, you're in the park. An old man is fishing. You're in the park. An old man is fishing.
Well, I think the dog's trying to answer that. No, that's gonna have to go over.
Okay. Anyone? You're in the park. An old man is fishing. Nick or Jason?
Is that around the world?
It is not, Nick. You've got a sort of 1 in 30 chance of getting this right.
Yeah, I mean it's rough because I'm actually trying to remember some of the games that I wasn't part of.
Yeah.
Oh, this is too much pressure. I can't handle it. Can I handle godhood? I don't know.
Well, you'll be co-god with Dave if you can't answer it.
You're in the park and old man is fishing. So this is a very terse game. Outdoors. Where were there parks? Oh, good grief. I'm sorry, I'm
gonna give you 5 seconds on this one.
I'm gonna punt and say Murdoch again.
I'm sorry, that's the wrong answer.
Yeah.
The correct answer was the Tracer Sanction.
Oh,
That was actually my first guess.
And on that note, I can declare that Nick and Dave have each got 4. On this occasion, the way the cookie has crumbled was not in favour of Jason, who has sadly only got 3 points. But gents, I think that shows your magnificent recollections of. And to be honest with you, some of those are pretty obscure. And the Tracer Sanction one, I chose the most unlike possible line from it to really give you a hard time. But there you are. So we have our winners. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ben. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ben.
That was a great idea.
Yeah. I did better than I expected.
Likewise.
Yeah, I thought the Flint hut was going to be Tracer Sanction because there is a hut in it. But, there's a lot of these where there's fish.
In all of them, aren't they? Seems to be the case.
A body of water makes a good barrier in a text game.
Boy.
Yeah. And it's also, something that's difficult to interact with. So usually it's just, here's a body of water. The answer is no.
It blocks your path. Get over it.
Yeah.
The one from Lord of the Rings, by the way, was if you selected, I think it was in 4 parts, and 3 of the parts were the game, and the 4th part was a sort of a CFAC simulation that contained peculiar news stories and jokes. And
that explains why that was in there. Yeah.
That was an item about someone eating someone or other, and it was all self-referent to the company who made it was Delta 4 who made the game.
So let this be a lesson to all of us. Always explore the paratext.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. So
good stuff, Ben. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. So we have, what have we got? We've also got a bit of a chat. We were going to talk about covering other sorts of games, and this is going to get all the letters flooding in. So we want to know whether we should be covering graphics text plus static graphics games, or games where you've got a person kind of slightly moving around on the screen, but is it a slippery slope? Is it a step too far? Is it polluting the basic essence of what it means to be a retro adventurer?
Well, they're certainly retro.
Yeah, they are retro.
Yeah, we're talking about games like King's Quest here, aren't we? And similar things.
Yeah, Space Quest. Yeah, and then Scum games, I suppose, as well.
I mean,
potentially.
it's interesting because
Yeah.
I think that for the most part, we have focused on a particular era in the 8-bit space, 8-bit machines.
Yeah.
I think once you get into the 16-bit machines, that feels like a departure to me. So while your King's Quest and your early Space Quest and all that, yeah, there are versions that they would put out on a Mac
That's
Quadra
right.
or whatever.
No, on an Apple II. So
Exactly. Yeah.
You got
No, I mean we've done the Lurking Horror, right? And the Lurking Horror is quite a bit like that, isn't it?
No, that's just that's a standard Infocom text adventure. They have little sound effects that played on the 16-bit platforms, but that's not,
The graphics I saw in it though.
You think of Crypt of Medea, maybe. Lurking Horrors text only.
But Crypt of Medea was also an Apple II game.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I think we throw this one over to the listeners.
Yeah.
Well, do they want to?
And
Answers on
that's
a
the thing is,
postcard.
we've had some questions already about would you cover this game or this genre? Now I am this we're publishing this as a podcast, but I'm holding up for the benefit of my fellows the Bible, the Book of Adventure Games by Kim Chouette. And this of course was hugely influential on me growing up, and this is where I found a lot of the early text adventures and some that we've played. Now volume 1, I will have yous know, includes among its definition of adventure games things like Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, which is kind of a more of we would call it an RPG for sure. Beneath Apple Manor, which was an early graphical roguelike. It has Ultima 1, 2, and 3. It has Wizardry and the first two sequels. So in a book of hints for primarily parser games, it's also got strategy guides for those games. And in volume 2, it covers the original King's Quest, which that Sierra AGI system. Ben was kind of alluding. That is that early AGI system. You're navigating in a more or less real-time animated world-ish with the cursor keys, but any action you take, picking up objects, manipulating them, whatever, that is text input. So if the barrier is text input, those still have it. I also sneakily, when I seized control of the pencil on this show in episode 4, I snuck in Down Among the Dead Men, which was a contemporary adaptation, but in the ancient Zil language of a game book from the 90s. So that was a choice choice game with RPG elements. You develop skills and whatever. So I already put a little chink in the armor there. So I mean, speaking honestly, for me, I think Sierra AGI absolutely falls into the realm of what we do. It's the outgrowth of what Sierra did as a text graphics adventure company. It's parser-based text input. Navigation is different. I have no problem saying at some point, I think it fits what we do to cover a game that's in that format.
I think it would be quite interesting. And again, I say I'd like to hear from the listeners, but I think it would be quite interesting to maybe do a one-off episode if anyone fancies hearing that. But whether it's within our purview to start moving completely in that direction, or I don't know. I mean, I'm flexible.
I think if to me it feels like something that's a delicious cherry on the cake that we can occasionally add to the podcast. It's a fun thing. I mean, my take would be as long as the games were suitably retro and as janky and strange and peculiar as can be, I'd be delighted. But I think it's a nice thing to sort of flow in, especially things that are really odd, really peculiar things where people have experimented with interfaces potentially, and there's plenty of text, but they've done strange things with it. I think I'd be well up for a bit of that.
Yeah. Whereas,
As Jason said, we have actually already touched on that slightly with Down Amongst the Dead Men, and then we've also very recently looked at Red Hawk, which, although it's primary text, relies an awful lot on the graphic side of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's not too far away from what we've already been doing.
yeah, I think I mentioned the heuristic that I keep approaching is, can you get a version of it to run on an early 80s, a Commodore 64 or that magnification, that level of computing power.
Already said Ultima was available on the 64.
Well,
Yeah.
right, and I would not make as strong of a case for Ultima Wizardry. Like, to me, those games they're a different department. But and we've talked about this when we've looked at things like Micro Adventurer. What were they covering? Even Probe a little bit. We're covering things that wasn't just parser based games. So that not being bound in that too tightly. Going back to talking about Scum games a little bit. The very first one, kind of the proto example of that was LucasArts' adaptation of Labyrinth to a game, and that actually begins as a text adventure game, and then once you're transported into the fantasy world, it becomes what would then kind of grow into a Scum game. It wasn't quite all there yet. Like for me, kind of looking at the path that adventure games took, I think that what Scum did hits the sweet spot of you're using your language tools to express what you want to do, but the game is saying like these are the combinations that I will accept. Like for me, I think it makes sense. I do understand that it is different than the kind of thing that we do, and I don't necessarily think we have to rush off to do it. But for me, I'd see the Scum world as a reasonable growth, even though you're talking about point and click navigation and things like that. Ben is sitting skeptically.
No, I'm not. I'm not sitting skeptically at all. I'm sitting. That was avidity. Is that a word? Avidity?
I was thinking nonchalant was more
Leaning at a
Nonchalant?
rakish angle.
Leaning. Oh, well, that's just me. That's me. I'm a bit
Bit of a
bit
rake.
off kilter. Bit of a rake. I'm not sure about that. So,
You
no,
just asked Selena Sakharov.
So, onto a completely different. Yes, quickly getting away from that. No, I like the idea of just. I think anything. I like that rule that if you can play it on a sufficiently clanky old computer, then it involves verbs and nouns in some way, and that involves adventuring, and is sort of vague, and we give it the right nod, then I think we can include it. I think that to me that feels right. But the sufficient, it's like yes, a bit like adding sugar to a drink. You don't want to have too much, just the right amount. Yeah.
And like we said earlier on, like that we have no shortage of games to cover. Like maybe this kind of goes back to surprise, and I'll also say I'm proud. I'm proud that we've done as much as we have with this show without leaning on just doing all the Infocom games or doing all the Level 9 or Magnetic Scrolls or whatever. We've really been able to spread it around in that it's very few publishers or authors have more than 2 games on the show, and so we've got lots and lots that we could still do. But to your point, Ben, sometimes you want a little sip of something unusual. So.
And we're not hurting for shortage of titles here. I mean, I think we could do another year of episodes on just behind closed doors sequels alone.
Yeah, well,
and listeners, I'd just like to point out that Jason revealed to us earlier today or yesterday, I can't quite remember, that our most popular episode so far was the episode with Behind Closed Doors in it, which to my mind
sure
is
that's quite how I would say.
proof positive that everyone loves toilet humor, everyone loves Balrogs, lavatories, all that sort of stuff. And we should definitely be doing more scatological humor. I think that's where we're going with this. In fact, I could say that if it's 8-bit and it involves any form of sort of off-color humor, then we'll take it.
My.
Might suddenly become a very different podcast. Well, speaking of what's popular and what's not, it's not strictly true that Behind Closed Doors. Obviously, our first episode remains the one that is downloaded the most. That's just the nature of things. The persistent least popular episode, and I note, Ben, you did not include it in the game, is the Valhalla episode, which... late but not lamented. People don't seem to want to talk about it. Hear Dave and me talk about it. You didn't want to put it in the game. I was kind of braced for, getting a lob of, Loki steals your money. I'm like, all right, I'll know which game that is. But no. So if you're out there, if you are among our loyal listeners who has said no, thank you, I don't care about this game, because if anything, I thought it would be a bit of cynical SEO. Maybe we'd get some listeners based on Swiss Family Robinson. Oh no, we did not.
So this is the challenge, listeners. All of you, new and old, those who have not yet listened to Valhalla. In fact, those who have listened to Valhalla, just go and do a wget on it so it shows up on our statistics, and then
But don't bother playing it.
and catapult it unreasonably and unnaturally to number one in our list of downloaded episodes. And then perhaps off the back of that, we can get the NordVPN sponsorship that we're all craving.
If you do it strategically in certain nations, we'll probably get sponsorship. Yes, Nick.
You mentioned Swiss Family Robinson, and of course, we've been talking about AGI, Scum VM, or Scum Games originally. And I realized, of course, Wyndham Classics are a perfect and much earlier cross-section of that sort of type of game in some ways. That you've got the very same style of joystick-driven adventure.
Well, Swiss Family Robinson was a parser game. It's just on rails in that it won't. Dave and I talked about this in that episode where you only it highlights the text if it's something that it will accept. So you can't hit enter on a bad command. You're right. And when we kind of moved on from the genre talk, but Below the Root and I think it was Alice in Wonderland, and Below the Root is. Classic. It is possibly my favorite game of all time. It's beautiful, and it basically predates the Scum concept. Yeah. So I will talk about this game somewhere, sometime, anytime, drop of a hat. I would make that case at some point. It's just so good. But yeah, Wyndham Classics had a few different styles.
So if we're going to do one of these, I also insist that we play at some point Sleuth.
What is Sleuth?
Sleuth is a game in which your character travels around a house in ASCII graphics, and there's also so you simultaneously have simultaneously have the visual representation of where you are in the house, but you also have a set of parser in which you can talk to people and question them and pick up objects and all that sort of stuff. It was a bit of a classic back in the 80s.
Okay. For which platform? Because I naturally looked up Sleuth BBC Micro, but that is a basic debugger. So what?
So if you were to look up, let's have a look. Let's see. Sleuth. Sleuth DOS.
Yeah,
there
it's
you
a
are.
DOS
Sleuth
game.
DOS. Yeah.
DOS game. Okay, right.
There you go.
It rings a bell.
There you are. So that's a good one to put on. But again, this sort of thing, I think you kind of. It's very much the sort of thing that we would only be able to do as a sort of an occasional little bit of grist in the mill.
So this seems a bit like it's a text adventure for input, but then the display also has a sort of if you've ever played the original Castle Wolfenstein for Apple II, with that sort of top-down map view.
Yes, that's right.
Sort of
so it's got a top-down map, a little bit like I suppose like a.
Like Rogue or NetHack.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there have been games, haven't there, as well, that have had arcade elements put into them and things like that, and still been text adventures. So there's different things out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd just like to say to anyone who's listening, you haven't accidentally just joined the Retro Adventures team meeting.
Strategy discussion.
Yeah, there we are. So there's I think we're coming round to the back end of the program, and we have a list here. You see, dear listener, of course we have show notes that we've written for one another, and they're always slightly sort of perplexing, a little bit cryptic. Someone here has rather rudely written which third-rate platform fan groups will Ben offend this year. I think personally, I'm offended on the behalf of the PCW owners, Jason. I never referred to the PCW as even remotely third rate. I think the PCW is a magnificent machine, and I am simply pointing out that that attempting to use it for graphics can result in sort of optical problems, eye damage, epilepsy. Things like that, but no, I think third-rate platforms. I think really put it out there, Jason. I think that's beyond the pale. And Amstrad PCW owners out there, I would strongly encourage you to write letters of outrage aimed at Jason, complaining because I am offended on your behalves.
That's PCW users who've still got their eyesight.
Amstrad PCW users, please write in and answer the question: is your platform third rate or not?
And can you see?
Well, and so in connection with that, I think maybe a goal or to set for the year ahead is we had established for half of the team how we are to be punished. Ben, you will be punished when you misstep by playing a graphic adventure on PCW. I will be punished by having to play the next game in the Behind Closed Doors series. But Nick and Dave, we don't have acts of sacrifice for you. I think we need to uncover that.
Perhaps the listeners can come up with a forfeit for me.
Great idea.
Okay, well, I can think of several games that I really don't want to play again. You could make me play Valhalla again.
Yeah, I think a Valhalla retrospective just punishes all of us. It needs to be.
I mean, Macbeth again would punish all of us as well.
Yeah.
No, playing a game like that on any platform which has also got a completely unusable keyboard in an emulator on the emulator is always a delightful experience for anyone who gets involved in any of this sort of jazz. So no, that's one I can keep in the back pocket for you, Dave.
Well, does anyone else anything they'd like to add?
Now, the only thing that I've got left on this list that I can see here that we managed to accidentally sort of zip past. Nick, what's all this IF-GAD about business?
Sorry, once again?
That's the Nick Montfort.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, this is a bit of an anecdote. My name is Nick Moffat, and I was repeatedly confused for Nick Montfort. This would be about 10, 15 years ago at a party in Soviet Russia.
And my point was that Montfort he's an author, he's an IF gadabout. He wrote Ad Verbum, which is considered a great, great game. He wrote Amazing Quest for the 2020 IF competition, which everybody else thinks is terrible, but I think is fantastic. Yeah, Nick is holding up his copy of Twisty Little Passages.
I just realized this is a pre-press version I have. I really ought to have sent him a bit of money. But and I used Twisted Little Passages in an audio-visual piece that I did about Trinity and the Cold War and other topics for a history class. Anyway, so I was mistaken for Nick Montfort at a party in Soviet Russia, and you say, Soviet Russia in 2012? That doesn't add up. So there was a film project around 2010 called Tao, which was very much a sort of fly-on-the-wall verite project where someone set up a sort of 1950s Soviet city somewhere in, I forget if it was Georgia, Ukraine, and then just recorded everything and collected 700 hours of footage, some of it in the style of an NKVD surveillance facility, that sort of thing. Everyone was watched. Everyone was filmed all the time. Everyone had to act like they were living in a 1950s enclosed Soviet compound. Anyway, this project had a large amount of footage. They called upon people to help them manage it because at the time, film industry was kind of still using FileMaker Pro for most of their stuff. And they reached out to the MIT Media Lab. I had a friend who was at the Media Lab at the time or adjacent to them, who was at this party in London hosted by Dow. Now, a party hosted by them was also done in this verite style. So I had to go through and be frisked by the KGB agents, have my photograph taken on an old, black and white camera and put on printed on a card with, red ink and blue pencil and all that stuff. And then I went in and it was a noisy room full of all sorts of, amazing atmospheric recreations of this world. And people would say, oh, who are you? And I'd say, I'm Nick. And they'd say, oh, Nick who? I'd say, Nick Moffat. And they'd go, oh, we've been waiting for you. And of course, that was because Nick Montfort was also at the MIT Media Lab at the time. And he was just like half an hour behind me. So I introduced myself to everyone. And then he shows up and is confused because they all think, what's going on? We did end up sharing drinks toward the end of this event. But that's how I was confused for Nick Montfort in Soviet Russia in around 2012.
Fantastic. And also, you never want to hear the KGB say, oh, we've been waiting for you.
Yes, exactly. Well, this was more friends, but yeah.
Well, listeners, you can all go out and buy Nick Montfort, the real Nick Montfort's book, Twisted Little Passages, which has that been released recently?
Oh, this is 2003 is when it came out, I think, or possibly 2004.
I thought I recognized it. I thought it was a book I recognized and wasn't a new release, but yeah.
This was actually to get back into the Informed Renaissance. This copy was originally Leonard Richardson's, who was also someone who contributed a lot to IF Comp type, or was not IF Comp, but the Zizzies and all these other contests in the 90s and early 2000s. So I helped him debug one of his entries, which was degeneracy. And then when we were all packing up and moving around, he gave me a couple of things, and this book was one of them.
Cool. What have we got coming up? Perhaps we should give the listeners a little. Do we do this, or is it considered sort of?
Well, I think this
not?
is a reasonable time to give an update, because this episode will come out pretty soon after recording, and can give people at least a look at what we've got lurking that's recorded and ready to release.
What lurking horrors we have for people.
So coming up in April, you will hear Dave and me take on Red Hawk, the comic book adventure, and the Scott Adams comic book adventure, Quest Probe Spider-Man. We have a special roundup of Sherlock Holmes games coming. Ben and an outside writer, Christian Newhouse, a friend of the show, listener of the show, who has written a Holmes pastiche stage play that's going up in New Zealand in just a few days, actually. We take on 3 games. We're looking at the Melbourne House Beam Software Sherlock, Sherlock Holmes Another Bow, that came out from Bantam Software, and then the Infocom Sherlock Riddle of the Crown Jewels, which was the very last text-only Infocom adventure. So it's kind of an interesting end of the epoch there. Had a conversation with Peter Golden, who wrote Another Bow, so that will be coming out after that Sherlock episode. Dave and Tim Gilberts joined me to take a look at another set of magazines, and that was a fun episode. We looked at some mags that we hadn't looked at before. Dave, by the way, is going to make a lot of friends among the computer gaming world art community. He had some very kind things to say about their cover artwork, so we'll be watching for those letters when they come out. And we also have sitting in the can an interview with Andrew Plotkin, who those of you who know the modern IF scene know is basically if he's not number one, he's 1A of the tastemakers and influencers of the past 30 years in text adventures. And that's really not overstating it. But to me, he's the guy who wrote Inhumane, the spoof of Infidel that also, just for funsies, has the villain from Mask of the Sun in it. So we actually sat down and talked a little while ago. We'll be putting that out because we are planning to cover Inhumane in an upcoming episode that has not been recorded yet. So yeah, we've gotten out ahead of the curve with some episodes of diverse range of games from both big time commercial publishers and some up and coming challengers, taking a look at some magazines that you may not have been able to encounter back in the day. So that is what is coming up in the next couple months from the Retro Adventurers.
Perfect summary.
Thank you very much, Jason. Now, on that note, listeners, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening for the last 20 episodes. We hope you'll listen to the next 20. We've enjoyed it immensely. I hope you all have too. Our numbers seem to be growing, so I'm going to be kind to myself and assume that's true. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all again next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a good one.
End of session. You've been listening to The Retro Adventurers, a podcast about classic text adventure games. This episode was produced and edited by Jason Compton. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Podcast Addict. Visit us at retroadventurers.com and follow us on Facebook and Blue Sky. The Retro Adventurers is based on a format originally devised by Ben Collier, Jason Compton, and Dave Hawkins.